Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. A weekend with no fights is not a fun weekend if you ask me, but that's all right because we got some fights on deck. Flyweights. Don't blink. Kai Kara-France versus the very underrated and upcoming Amir Albazi. Kind of like the grappler versus striker matchup that we got left with just 2 weeks ago. Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. Will it be a repeat of the past events? I don't know. That's what we're here to break it down for. So, folks, my name is Derick G. I am your host, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, the Santa Fe bomber himself, the New Mexico native, AJ. Brother, it is good to be back. I just mentioned off air, I said, hey man, these waters haven't been too bloody recently, but we're here to change that, brother. How you feeling?
Derick, with it, and we have the fight weekend to change it, brother. There should be some blood in the ring, some blood in the waters. Was this break necessary, rejuvenating? Yeah, but was it wanted? No, sir. It's good to be back here breaking down fights with you, my brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic. I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling rejuvenated, and I'm ready to talk about some scraps. So I don't want to mince any more words. Let's jump straight into a TLDR. All right, folks, your TLDR for UFC Vegas 74. I'm getting ready to pull it off of the screen. So if you're watching this, of course, take a screenshot now. But AJ, we got to break some news a little bit. You know, normally that's when I drop the breaking news noise. I'm not going to do it this time, but we will touch on it in just a second. We did get one of our fights scrapped at the last second, right before we jumped on to record. That is Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon. Unfortunately, Jared Gordon, undisclosed reasons, he had to pull out. A little bit bummed out about that, but we did get a replacement. Now, AJ, real quick, I'm going to bring the screen up again. I want you to talk to us about our consensus picks here, and then we'll jump into, our little contention, brother. So talk to me. What do we got this week?
Ooh, for the consensus picks, Derick, we're going don't blink, and folks, do not blink. Still going to be a fun fight. We're rocking Kai Kara-France, as well as in the next one up, Bruce Leroy Caceres. Right. It's going to be an interesting scrap. Always fun seeing that guy around. Again, always. Jared Gordon, we talked about it. Fight won't be going on, but it's still there. We're still picking him. And then Karine Silva, a couple months ago, something like that, made a big debut. Very talented striker. Those are the consensus Bloody Water picks. Make sure you go cash your checks in, folks. It's going to be fun. We still have some opposition, Derick. What about those?
That's right. So, yeah, before we talk about that opposition, Karine Silva, believe it or not, man, it's been a year, almost a year. It's 11 months to the day that she's performed the last, and she seems like one of the new stars on the scene. Either way, we'll talk about it in a second. Contention, man. You got to have it here. You can't have the same picks. We're talking about Tim Elliott and Victor Altamirano. Now, that's going to be a fun matchup right there. AJ, I know you're going with the grizzled veteran, the experienced Tim Elliott, man. You got to love him. I'm a big fan. I'm going to take the youth, and I'm not going to spoil too much right here, but I'm going to take Altamirano because one of these two fighters has a lot going on outside of the octagon that we might need to touch on in a second. Lastly, Abubakar Nurmagomedov, brother, we ain't even seen my man in a minute. He's back in action, and he's got Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, a man we have not seen in a couple of years. We'll talk about it more once again. I'm going to take Zaleski on the flyer. Why do you like Nurmagomedov in like a sentence?
Folks, don't pay attention to the name Nurmagomedov. This boy can scrap, and especially being out so long, like Derick said, he's going to come in hungry. Either way, going to make for a very fun fight.
All right, folks, this is your friendly reminder. Drop a subscription here or subscribe. Just simply click the subscribe button if you're watching. This is the Bloody Water Podcast. This is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. We do it week in and week out. Sometimes we don't got fights, but when we do got it, we got you locked in. So with that being said, AJ, before we jump into the main card, give the people a plug on your Twitch.
Twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. Folks, if you want a little in-depth information, a little bit of backstory going on behind what's actually happening back here, all happens over Twitch. Make sure you go check it out. Jump in the comment section. It's a lot of fun, especially when we're doing things like you're interested in breaking fights down, talking back and forth, having that dialogue. That's the best part about it. Make sure you go over there, follow along, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber.
Folks, I would imagine you're not here for plugs, you're here for fights. So without any further ado, let's talk about it. Let's get it, baby.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Don't blink, AJ. Kai Kara-France is back, and he's got a real contender on his hand. I mean, you got to talk about this dude's got a hit list that he's been running through, right? I'm not saying they're all wins, but if you look at some very notable fights, you got Brandon Royval, Rogerio Bontorin, Cody Garbrandt, Askar Askarov, Brandon Moreno, and now Amir Albazi. Kai Kara-France clearly is in his own tier, I would say, in this flyweight division that is ever mixing up right now. But Amir Albazi, AJ, I got to tell you, this is one guy right here that, of all the contenders in the flyweight division right now, This is the scariest prospect / contender, a dude who hasn't truly taken that next step, but he's right there, bro. So talk to me a little bit about Albazi. Why is he so underrated in the casual fans' perspective, but the odds makers see him as even money right here against Kai Kara-France? Why do you think that is?
Well, Derek, there's a reason he's a little underknown and underdeveloped, or I shouldn't say underdeveloped, but at least underknown. It's because nobody else in the flyweight division wants to fight this dude. He is scary opponent, man. Power on power, as well as very versed on his feet and on the ground, man. That's what makes this a dangerous fight. Boy can take the fight anywhere and still be comfortable in there. I mean, same goes for Kai Kara-France, but the power level that Albazi presents is on a whole nother one, man. This dude can hit you and hit you hard very fast and still be fluid and dancing around. Now, do you think he'll be able to win the speed battle against Kai Kara-France? Because I think Kara-France has the advantage right there, Derek. Because the power is a whole nother thing. Are you agreeing with me, or are you seeing a little bit something else?
You know, I do see it a little bit different. I won't deny that Amir Albazi is scary standing up or when he's grappling, but I think the real threat comes from the ability to take it to the mat at any time, right? I'm going to push back, though, and I'm going to say Kai Kara-France, actually, in my opinion, and this is, I mean, who am I, right? I think he has a power and a speed advantage in this one, bro. And there's something about Kai Kara-France where it doesn't look, he's not a big, super huge guy, right? He's kind of small, even as a flyweight. But when he hits people, he damages people in ways that are just kind of, how would you say? It's covert almost, you know what I mean? It doesn't look it, but all of the fighters that he's fighting against, they feel it. Now, Amir Albazi, I don't think he needs to win a speed advantage to be able to be successful in this fight. I think he needs to take advantage of some of the opportunities that Kai Kara-France will present, given that he's such an explosive fighter. Here's the real question, AJ. Kai Kara-France, we got a little taste of it in his last fight against Brandon Moreno. He's normally not a man who's on the back foot. He's normally not a man who's a counter puncher, who's, you know what I mean, waiting for his opportunity to go first and then reacting. Normally, he walks you down, he puts the pressure on you, and he dictates the pace of the fight. Can he do that against Amir Albazi? I don't want to say it's classic last matchup, but Mackenzie Dern, Angela Hill. Mackenzie Dern, the grappler, she was able to walk Angela Hill down at will because what's the worst thing that happens? You take me to the mat? All right, that's where I want to go anyways. Do we see that again here?
I don't really think so, Derek, because the speed and the footwork that Kai Kara-France presents is very, very tricky. This boy is able to cut angles and dip out and be hit or hit and not be hit. Now on the speed thing, that's why I like Kai Kara-France the most, man. This dude can get in on angles and hit you really hard, but it's like you said, underrepresented in the strength. This dude isn't a brooding force, if you will. More so Albazi is, but Kara-France has one of those speed type hits that flash knockout really hurts you. They say the power's for the show, speed is for the dough, and Kara-France has a lot of dough because of the speed he presents. Going forward, I do agree with you. I think the Albazi is able to take this fight anywhere and still be comfortable, take it to the ground at any point. But will the footwork of Kara-France be able to evade? I think so, Derek.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I think Kara-France does have a lot of different methods that he can use to have success in this fight. Both fighters do, obviously, right? The thing that concerns me is that perception-wise, everybody's going into this fight thinking Albazi's path to victory is what? He takes Kara-France down and either submits him, he knocks him out, or he controls him long enough to just simply win on points. But the odds makers seemingly don't agree with that. Look at the submission prop here. Plus 1,800 for a submission prop for Amir Albazi, a dude who's got what? 5 submission victories in his last 10 fights, and majority of those submissions are coming in the first round. Now, respect to Kai Kara-France, because we saw what Askar Askarov tried to do to him and was unsuccessful with. We saw what Brandon Moreno tried to do in the grappling department. Yeah, he ended up knocking him out with the body kick, right? But he wasn't able to have success in that grappling. So I think if Kai Kara-France can keep this fight on the feet, and he could be that sprawl and brawl fighter that we were asking of Angela Hill the last couple weekends ago, I think that, man, Kai Kara-France is simply an upper echelon that Amir Albazi has not met yet. Now, Amir Albazi, if he goes out there, if he makes it look easy, because this is what he's very prone to do, fair play to my man. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that as handicappers, as people who are looking at these matchups and trying to place a wager on it, you have to roll with Kai Kara-France here for the experience level, for the strength of schedule, path to victory, because on the feet, Albazi's good, AJ, but tell me, 10 fights out of 10 fights just standing, Kai Kara-France, Amir Albazi, who gets the better of who?
I'm thinking 7 to Cara France right there, Derek. Out of 10, Cara France has a way of eluding his opponents and making them a little bit confused. Now, going back to what you were saying before, I do think Albazi will be on the front foot right here, which gives him a little bit more wiggle room as far as like takedowns or finding something else. But you cannot get exploited by Cara France out there because he's called Don't Blink for a reason. You can't blink on this dude or else he's going to hit you with a 3-piece.
That's right. And then, I mean, we can't forget, too, that Kai France, he had a lot of decisions in the UFC, and he barely has started to come back to that don't blink, that finishing type of capacities. So that's, I guess, the big question that we have to ask here. If a finish is going to come out of this fight, I don't want to say, because it's kind of counterintuitive, but I kind of want to say it would come on Albazi's side. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Derek. I think the power and the more so poise that Albazi presents leads a little bit more, at least leads me to think that he's going to be able to knock him out. Cara France, he does have that kind of capability, but I expect him to play a little bit safer of a fight, at least in the early rounds. Mm-hmm. That way you don't have to experience that power. You know, all that power is good unless he can't hit you. And I think that's the tactic that Cara France is going to employ.
Now, let's talk about this, because clearly if you want to just talk about X's and O's, we could talk about that all day between these two fighters. They're so good. Let's talk implications. Cara France is in a weird spot, given that you lost to the champ twice, technically, right? Deiveson Figueiredo is moving up to bantamweight or doing whatever he's doing. He was going to stay down. I don't know what's going on there. Amir Albazi is the freshest blood in this division to really give people problems. Him and Brandon Royval, of course. A win over Cara France for Amir Albazi has to guarantee him a title shot, right?
Ooh, guaranteed title shot? I don't know. I don't know if anyone's clamoring or even Dana White's clamoring for an Albazi title shot, but I do think you put on a hell of a performance, knockout round 1, submission round 1, something in the early rounds, then you're up next against like a Brandon Royval. Because I do think there's a lot of other contenders out there that, and deserve is a weird word because you deserve what you ask for and you get. But going from there, I do think maybe like an Askar Askarov or a Brandon Royval or something. We'll see Albazi one more fight. He performs well right there. Then I think he gets a title shot.
Well, the only reason I say that is just because if you look at the mix right now, it's really 3 guys. It's Royval, it's Pantoja, or it's Albazi. Those are going to be the 3 guys that are really going to be competing for a title since Cara France just lost his title opportunity. So Cara France still has to win a couple to get back to that spot. So that's where I think he's at. I think he's at gatekeeper to the top 3. Because Askar Askarov, he's not in the UFC no more, right? He got cut, so we're done with that. It's literally these guys. There's nobody else that you could think of right now. Alex Perez kind of blew his shot right there. Either way, I think this is going to be a fun one, but I think that, I mean, ultimately, you know, we got to give a pick on here, so let's talk about the pick, brother. I like Cara France here. I think, once again, I'm going to say it to break it down in just like a concise statement. He's the upper echelon. He's a level that Amir Albazi has not seen yet, and that if we're talking about odds, I do think odds-wise Cara France should win this fight. Now, will it happen? Who knows? But I like Cara France, and I like a decision here. I respect Amir Albazi. How do you see it?
Yeah, Derek, I see it basically the same way you do. I respect Albazi, and I think Cara France is going to respect the power he presents. I'm still going for a real technical, not safe, but still entertaining fight that Cara France is going to put up. Give me Cara France and give me the decision.
All right. Cara France by decision. Consensus Bloody Water podcast pick. You got to love it right there. And with that being said, that's going to be a high-level flyweight main event. You got to love that. All right, man. When we move on to this co-main event right here, you got to love the momentum that Bruce Leroy is carrying right now. Alex Caceres. But he's fighting a guy who's arguably got a ton of momentum himself, man, Daniel Pineda. Now, this is what I do have to say. No disrespect whatsoever because both of these guys are very, very talented fighters. But I do have to ask you this, man. Daniel Pineda getting a co-main event matchup against Alex Caceres, to me, this is just because this dude is a finisher. I don't particularly see how these two guys match up, and you sit here and say, yeah, Daniel Pineda is this upcoming dude who's going to, with a win over Caceres, break into the rankings. Pineda himself has already said it, man. It just all depends on the situation and on the money and all that, bro. So, like, career-wise, I think he's in it for exciting fights and in it for challenges. I don't particularly think we're looking at a path to the title here. But with that being said, it's still going to be a fun fight, bro. So tell me, why is Daniel Pineda a man that you should stay tuned into for this matchup? Alex Caceres is very, very good, but Pineda's a dangerous man. Why do you think that is?
Well, and I think so, Derek, because of exactly what you just said. This dude's in it for fun. He's in it for the money. He's in it to be the entertainment side of the fight game. Maybe not hunting for gold right now. If gold presents it, he might change it up. Kind of how Justin Gaethje used to consider himself the most violent man. He wanted to be the most violent fighter in the UFC. Then you see a little bit of gold, you see a little bit of cash. You kind of start changing up, getting a little bit smarter. But right now, Daniel Pineda's at that hungry level. This dude's waking up in normal sheets. He's not waking up in silk sheets yet. So he's still on the road, getting his road work in, grinding it out. Why I like Daniel Pineda, and not in this fight, but at least as a fighter, this dude has a lot of finishes. 6 finishes in his last 10 fights, a couple no contests that were overturned. And yes, is the hit list, his opponents, are they the toughest of opponents? Not so much, but he's getting to that level where we're starting to see some name recognition. Yeah, he dropped one to Cub Swanson, and then had a no contest against Andre Touchy-Feely. But that just shows that this dude is willing to step in at any point and fight whoever, whenever. And we got to love that over here, brother. We are all about the whatever, whenever, whoever. Anytime you want it, you can get it. Step up. That's why I like Daniel Pineda, man. What about you?
I like Daniel Pineda for exactly the reasons you said. He's just simply a gamer. Simple as that. This dude comes to fight, and you said, yeah, he's got a couple finishes. My man got 100% finish rate, bro. So it's like, yeah, he does. He got 28 finishes on his record, brother. This man does not play around. But as you had mentioned, not against the stoutest opposition, but you got to think this dude's been doing it for a long time, bro. If you go back and down to his topology, the first fight is 2007. Like, this man's been doing it a while. Alex Caceres, though, man, I just honestly believe this dude is in a different echelon when it comes down to being a fighter. This is a man who, you got to admit, too, came up young in the UFC, pretty much born and bred in the big show. But he's still, I think there's a path to the Bushido style of fighting, but also still championship fighting for Alex Caceres. If he could string a couple good ones together, the man's been in the rankings before, been in and out. Maybe we see top 10. Maybe he's a guy who only makes it to the top 5. Nonetheless, when you line him up against an exciting fighter like Daniel Pineda, I think that's where fight IQ comes in. That's where his level of experience, even though they're two different sides of experience, his experience in the big show comes in. And I think that's where his ability to win a fight comes in. Do you know what I mean when I say that, AJ? Because sometimes I think that can be confusing. There's guys who have a knack for winning. And I don't mean just like, oh, yeah, they got wins on their record. They just know how to win a fight in the gamesmanship of it. Do you kind of feel what I'm saying?
And it's that flow state that Alex Caceres jumps into, and that's when he's best. And that's what I think you're talking about, Derek. When he's on and he's gaming, he's looking smooth, he's reading the punches coming, he's seeing things before you even adjust your hips to throw the shot. And that's where Alex Caceres really shines, man. When he's able to string together a couple combos, dip out, come back with a head kick, something you've never even seen before. That flashiness that he presents, as well as this dude's a great dude. I mean, like you said, Derek, the Bushido style he presents is a lot of fun to watch because he's not out there talking shit, but he'll hand you some knuckles anytime you want. You gotta love Bruce Leroy in there, especially for how flashy a striker this dude is. Dude, he just makes fun fights regardless, and especially against a fighter like Daniel Pineda, who's willing to push the gas, push forward, present a couple holes, so that way he can get his opportunities. I'm looking for Caceres to exploit those holes.
100%. And I couldn't have explained that one better, because at the end of the day, if you saw Alex Caceres' setup for that finish that he just had against Juicy J. Julian Erosa, right? My man, he was switching stances the whole fight. He's in a southpaw stance, stepping back, trying to clear space, create distance, switches to orthodox, throws, like I think he might have switched back to southpaw, throws a rear left hand and brings the kick above it. The whole point is he set it up perfectly. He didn't throw that combination not one time in the other parts of the fight, and he was on the money when he got it. So, enough just all love to Caceres. This is how I think this fight plays out, and I want your opinion on this. I think Daniel Pineda has a very effective style. He is a finisher after all. I just think that his style is most effective against guys who are a little more square, a little more willing to just stand in front of you and walk you down. And I don't think his style is going to be as effective against Alex Caceres, who is nonstop movement, unorthodox, wacky switching styles. So he has his option of take Caceres down and try to submit him, but Caceres is good on the ground too, or just walk the man down and see if you can land the big one. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I'm interested to see the strike differential on this fight at the end of the night, Derek, because if it goes how I think, we're going to see a lot of strikes out of the Alex Caceres camp, a lot of pitter patter, a lot of ones and twos, things coming in, touching you up from a distance, and then not getting hit. Whereas Daniel Pineda, he'll have the stronger of the hits, the more powerful, the more impactful. We'll see if that weighs in on the judges or not. But I agree with you. When Daniel Pineda has the best success when it's two dudes just trying to clash heads and fight in a phone booth. Alex Caceres is not that kind of style of fighter. I'm sure he has that dog in him, but he's a lot smarter than that, knows how to win, get himself in a winning position for the fight. Makes Alex Caceres a very hard one to bet against.
100%. And I'm going to give my pick on this one because when you're looking at the odds, Caceres minus 165 favorite, plus 140 comeback for Pineda. And there's a plus 275 decision calling my name right there, bro. I don't like the TKO prop on this one, even though I do think that it is in the realm of possibilities because Pineda is not particularly a guy who's just going to be sitting here going 3 rounds. I mean, like I said, he's never won a fight by decision. He's a finisher. So come round 3, Alex Caceres might put it on him. I don't like the submission, even though I think that's super possible as well, man. I just think at the end of the day, these guys are going to be swinging it out, and Caceres is going to take the smart path to victory. I'm going to take that smart path to victory, plus 275 decision for Caceres. How you see it?
Yeah, I do think that's a smart path right there, Derek, but I'm not going to follow suit 2 fights in a row. Give me Alex Caceres. I'm actually going to take that submission. I think it's going to be a club and sub, get him down on the ground, find your opening, put him out, give me a submission round 2.
You know, I had a feeling that you were going to rock with that submission right there for Caceres. I could see it, but I could also see it the other way. I could see Pineda getting, I mean, when he jumps that guillotine, he's a nasty guy, man. So good fight to keep your eyes on right there. But with that being said, we have to go back to, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do the breaking news sounds, man. But let's just talk about it really quickly. Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon, right? I bring up this fight, even though it's not going to be happening because like minutes before basically we were setting up to record, Jared Gordon announced, pulled out the fight. Undisclosed reasonings. We don't know why. Jim Miller did get reassigned a fight against Jesse Butler. He's a Fury guy coming fighting out of Fury, and he fought out of AKA. But we're not going to cover that fight, folks. So just know we're only breaking down 5 fights on this one. You did see our consensus pick, but Jim Miller and Jared Gordon, that one is off the books right there. Now, actually moving on. Fun one right here. Another flyweight contest. Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano, man. This is going to be a fun fight because Altamirano is much more of a newer fixture on the scene. Tim Elliott is time-tested, bro. But before we talk about the actual X's and O's of this fight, let's talk about some of the surrounding stuff without getting into detail because that's not really important right now. Tim Elliott has been in the news recently, the news cycle, and it's not been anything fight-related. It's actually been personal life-related, divorce from UFC fighter Gina Mazzani, just a bunch of crazy drama involving Glory MMA, James Krause, Kevin Kroom. We're not here to break that down, but just know that the last couple of weeks, if not month, has been Tim Elliott drama fest. AJ, before we jump into the actual breakdown of the fight, you're fighting a young up-and-comer. I mean, Altamirano is not super young. He's like 32, but you're fighting an up-and-comer in this scene. You done fought the best of the best. You fought the Killer's Row. And he got all of this craziness, and you have to switch camps, and now he's back in Vegas. I think he's training at Extreme. I'm not sure at the moment. But the point is, how does that affect you mentally going into a fight like this, man? I imagine you would not be able to be fully focused, locked in on a fight camp.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Derek. And I actually think right now, Tim Elliott might be in the best situation of the whole situation he's been in for the last couple months. I was watching his pre-fight presser, and he was talking about it, that he was hiding his whole situation that he disclosed on Twitter for a couple months, just, trying to protect people, trying to not draw attention to himself. Because, folks, as men and as people, we don't really like to look that we're in a down spot. We don't like to look like we're in need of help or anything like that. But once Tim Elliott finally did reach or at least post the post, he's able to transform a little bit. I was hearing him talk that he was walking around like 120 or something like that, 135, something very small for his normal weight. Mm-hmm. And then he was getting injured in camp, always worried about something else going on. Now, with that kind of monkey off his shoulder, he's able to focus in a little bit. So I think he might be in the best spot possible. Or it could all be a front, and this dude is still very much thinking it because you never really solve problems that fast. You got to work on it. Hopefully he is working on it a little bit more. But, this dude, they call him Awkward. And I believe even his Twitter name is Awkward MMA or something like that. But, it's kind of on par for the course. This dude's having an interesting time and go into a fight for his, not necessarily career, But for him to make a name and still have that momentum going forward, I think this could be a career-altering fight for Tim Elliott if he's able to kind of put the same style on and show the world that it's not really affecting him. Do you think that it's a good look to go into a fight with something this, impactful in your life going on, Derek?
I think it's good for ratings because people are going to watch the fight probably because of all that's been going on. No, seriously, man. I think that that's a big part of it. People are going to be tuned into what is Tim Elliott doing based off of the drama that has been ensuing, right? And I hate to keep bringing it up, man, but it was the last fight that happened. Mackenzie Dern, same kind of drama, except hers kind of came a little pre-fight, but major after the fight where there was all types of claims being made, right? People are tuning in for that. And my only question is exactly what you mentioned. Can you fully be locked in or somewhere lingering in the inner chambers of your mind? Are you still thinking about that because it's so closely affected you? These were your training partners. These were the guys who were your road dogs. If you know anything about combat sports, folks, you know when you go to compete, when you go to do that, it's a different feeling. It's much more intimate. Now, Victor Altamirano, on the other side, I ain't heard not one bit of drama. My man is focused, ready to come in and ready to take a name. And that's the problem that I see here. It's not a matter of who's better. It's a matter of who's better on this specific day. And right now, given all of that's going on, you have to at least edge Victor Altamirano simply due to you don't got all the drama going on. But with that aside, that is our disclaimer for our picks going into this fight, right? You have to keep that in mind. As fighters, two awkward fighters. I will mention this, AJ. What do you make of the claims that Tim Elliott said it himself. He's like, you know who I am the most successful against? Very technical guys. I have a little bit of a harder time against these awkward guys. For an example, Brandon Royval. He got arm triangled in the second round against Royval. You're fighting a really wacky, unconventional Victor Altamirano, got this karate style, but will also do crazy. I'm going to throw a two-piece combo and then shoot in and level change and then step back out and then throw a spinning back fist and then get back to the weirdness. How does Tim Elliott take advantage of another goofy, effective style like that?
Tim Elliott needs to stay on the front foot for this fight, not allowing space for Victor Altamirano to actually start getting funky. Because you're right, when Altamirano is on his game, he's throwing that weird stuff, unpredictable stuff that you don't see coming out. That's when he's most dangerous. But the same thing goes for the opposite man in the ring. Tim Elliott, this guy throws that weird, keeps his hands down, shoulders high. He has a weird style to him, but when he cracks you, it hurts. Mm-hmm. And when he's on his front foot, dictating the power, dictating the pressure, he's able to control the fight a lot better and see things coming. That's kind of the big thing for me right there. When you're able to see these awkward motions, and that's honestly probably why he fights technical fighters better, because you can see the punches coming a lot better when you know, okay, this is just technically correct. It's sound. It's what everyone else does. When you got that weird guy throwing just out of nowhere stuff at you, it makes it a little more difficult. Just don't give him space. Keep the pressure. Make this fight your fight. Easier said than done. Do you think Tim Elliott can do it?
Yeah, I absolutely think he can do it. You know what I mean? I think this dude's got a wealth of experience that he could lean on. And I also think that when you fight the best of the best, this is not going to be a surprise to you. I mean, you're right. These unorthodox guys, they kind of got the Bobby Green effect. Hands down at your waist, so when the jab pops up, you don't see it coming. Now you're just getting popped in the face. You don't know where it's coming from. I do think that this is going to be the problem, though. So Tim Elliott, you remember his last victory was in March of last year, a long time ago, man, and it was against Tagir Ulanbekov. And I don't know if you can recall this far because we watch so many fights week in and week out. That was a controversial fight right there, bro. A lot of people thought Ulanbekov actually got the victory right there. People were crying robbery. I think we broke it down on a robbery report or whatnot. At the end of the day, Tim Elliott got the win. So when you're coming off of a little bit of a controversial win, you dropped your fight before that, and your last real dominant win was Jordan Espinosa. The question is, for Victor Altamirano, man, this dude has fought he's had some just impressive wins. The Candelario win, the Vinicius Salvador win, those are good wins. Salvador got power. So I don't think that Altamirano, especially because his chin was tested in that fight, I don't think that he's going to be too worried about the power of Elliott. I think it's the other stuff. My question to you is, minus 125 decision for Tim Elliott. If that comes to fruition, AJ, what is the game plan that Tim Elliott's taken to get that decision?
Yeah. Interesting on the minus 125 decision. I think what they're thinking right there, Derek, is get him to the ground and control him. Don't let that awkward style take into effect. Arguably, Tim Elliott's better on the ground. Arguably, Victor Altamirano, this dude has, 3 submission victories in his last 10. Very talented on the ground as well. I don't know. What do you think, Derek? Because that's an interesting one for me. I was expecting more leaning towards the TKO. That's what we've seen with the pressure of Tim Elliott. This dude can crack, but plus 1,300. I mean, they don't think a TKO is happening for either of these guys. What do you think?
My thoughts are that Tim Elliott will be able to outpace Victor Altamirano in rounds 2 and 3. The thing that I did notice, which is a little weird, they're flyweights, right? So they shouldn't be getting super tired, but Altamirano gets a little tired in there, you know what I mean? And that's a concern of mine just because Tim Elliott, man, this dude does not stop and he doesn't get tired, and he can mix it up and he can control you on the ground. I just think it's going to come down to you have to be effective on the ground here. You can't just sit and just take somebody down and let that be the end-all be-all. We've seen that it's about damage, not about control anymore. So, I mean, I don't like that minus 125 decision play. I think that you're taking a really risky bet if you're going there. I like the minus 180 Tim Elliott. I would take that way over the minus 125 decision-specific prop. But I'm not going to lie, man. I'm going to take Victor Altamirano in this fight. Plus 155 dog here. I think he's got the momentum. He's the up-and-comer. But I have to circle back to the beginning of the conversation. When you have a fight like this where there's so much drama involved, you have one of two ways to go. You could lean into the drama, and it could backfire like it did for Mackenzie Dern, people who betted against her, who bet on Angela Hill. It could backfire, or it could be a spot where, listen, dude, you had to switch up everything. All of your training partners, your coaches, everything had to go. Like, this is drastic. Give me Victor Altamirano. Give me a decision. How do you see it?
Well, as one of the ones that was bet on Angela Hill for the drama, Derek, I'm trying not to repeat that exact same thing. That's why I'm going Tim Elliott. I think he has the kind of mindset that when the doors open, when he's leaving the locker room, he's shaking it off. He's back in his territory now. He's back in the dogfight, and that's where Tim Elliott belongs. I don't like that plus or that minus 125 either, Derek. I'm just going to take the submission. But, folks, if you're betting on this one, I'd also go the minus 180 money line prop. That's the best way to go right here. But since we're picking, give me the submission. Give me a round 3. I agree. I think Victor Altamirano gets a little tired there. We'll see. It's going to be a fun fight regardless with these two.
This should be a little higher on the card, in my opinion. But yeah, no, fun fight right here. Bet wisely, choose wisely, folks. All right, man. Moving on. We got this is going to be a fun one, folks. And I know you guys, I know you guys do not know these fighters. This is going to be a fun fight. Karine Silva versus Ketlen Souza. Now, for Souza, bro, here's the thing, man. She is a power striker, right? She's come off of a couple decisions, 2 5-round decisions, 1 3-rounder. But before that, we're talking about 2 second-round TKOs. And then 2 more, another second-round TKO and a 5th-round TKO, right? She did have 1 loss from a familiar name back in 2019, Ariane Carnelossi. Do you remember her? Yeah, brother. Yeah. So that was a loss, and that was a body kick loss, actually, 3rd-round body kick loss. So here's the thing: Souza is a kill or be killed fighter, and I love her for that reason, man. When you watch her fight, you can tell why she's on the scene right here and why she gets a fight like this. She's exciting and she's ready to bring it. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna preface this whole conversation by saying, I think Souza, in a weird way, has a style to completely disrupt everything that Karine Silva does good. Because Karine Silva is very much a sit back, create distance, throw those front kicks down those little teeps up the middle, right, and tie me in. Then shoot for the blast, whatever the case may be. And she can work her submissions. She got some good submissions, but I think she's much more of a technical striker. We've seen it, AJ, with the Jessica Andrades of the day, who, if they can come in with the power, blitz you, and disrupt all that, they can be very successful. My question to you is, given that we don't know as much about Souza in the big show, can she do that to Karine Silva?
I think so, Derek. And going back to what you said at the beginning, folks, if you don't know who these fighters are, you better start tuning into the Twitch stream, because this is one of the fights I was breaking down. There's something in the water in Brazil that leads these fighters, especially a lot of these up-and-coming fighters, to just be hungry. They're out there, they're headhunting, they're getting big shots. And Souza is very, very dangerous when she's on the front foot. This girl has power, man. Power on power on power. Her deltoids got deltoids, bro. This girl can hit you and hurt you very, very hard. Yeah. And actually the same goes for Silva. Like you said, she's a little bit more technical, but when this girl hits you, it hurts. And that was one of the big things I was noticing when I was breaking this fight down. I don't think either of these fighters are going to want to take a backward step. I think they're going to meet in the middle, and it's going to be an absolute scrap. This one is my vote for fight of the night. I mean, that's what I'm thinking this is going to happen. This is a very entertaining fight from 2 underknown fighters that's going to surprise you, man. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Watch the right hand of Souza. Like you said, Derek, watch the teep kicks from Silva. This is going to be a very technical yet still bloody fight. I'm excited for this one, man.
All right, path to victory. I think it's pretty clear for Silva. If the stand up is too much of Souza, take her to the ground, control her on the ground. I think that's a clear path to victory. We know Silva's got a sick submission game, but we have seen Souza get controlled, and not anything super crazy. It's just you lose rounds when you're just stuck on your bottom and you're not doing anything, right? You're not fighting to get to a hip. You're not throwing elbows off your back. You're just kind of sitting there. So I think Silva could take complete advantage of that. And my bet is, man, like I said, it's tough just because in my head I could see Souza coming in and just disrupting what Silva does good so that all of that clean technical fighting goes out the window. And if you're forced to brawl, you remember that fight with Yasmin Jauregui and oh man, who did she fight? I'm blanking. I feel like you know the fight that I'm talking about though.
Yasmin Lucindo?
Yes, there we go. Yasmin Lucindo versus Yasmin Jauregui. They sat there and they just traded in the pocket, man. It was not technical. It was just brawl. And I think that this is what this fight could turn into, which is why, even though I'm a big fan of the performance Silva put on in the last fight against Poliana Botelho, which is like, that was a big win right there. I think that minus 220 might be a little too favorable in this spot where anything can go. I think that they're treating Silva as if she's already established. Now, fair play. You got like 8 finishes in your last 10 or something like that. Fair play, right? But if there was going to be a path to victory for Souza, is it just the right hand? Are there any other paths to victory here?
The blitz, man. The blitz that Souza presents is very dangerous. If you miss the right hand, a left hook's coming over the top. She has power in both hands. She just likes to set it up with the jab. So that's why the right hand is very dangerous, because it gets set up for it. You get lulled into that kind of thing. And it's like you said, Derek, I expect this to be a dogfight in the middle of the cage. And when you're not expecting that, or when you're not willing to engage in that kind of thing, you're left at a little bit of a disadvantage right there. I honestly think Souza is a massive a comeback. You know, she can have that underdog win right here at that plus 180, because just the name factor alone, I think a lot of people are bet on Karine Silva. But folks, this is one of the ones that I had the hardest time actually choosing, man. I wanted to go Souza. But then, you know, there's X's and O's to all this whole thing. I'll leave it more, like I said, go check out the Twitch stream so you can actually get the in-depth view. But this one, man, this is going to be a very, very fun fight, because they're going to toe the line just like they're in bare knuckle. But yeah, we get to use some kicks and some elbows and some knees and stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So this is going to be my final question here, man. This is counterintuitive, but Ketlen Souza, in a weird way, if this goes all 3 rounds, I think she has an advantage. In a weird way. Look at Silva. She finishes all her fights, man. I mean, Souza, on the other hand, she's gone 5 a couple times, right? 3 times in her last 10 fights, she's gone 5 rounds and won those fights. That's impressive. So what I will say is that if Karine Silva can keep it together and her cardio doesn't fail her, I like her for a decision victory right here. I don't think she'll be able to get Souza out of there. I don't think it's going to be as easy as that. However, I do think if Souza gets the dub, I think she finishes her, bro. I think that she has what it takes to get her out of there. So I'm going to go with Silva here, but Ketlen Souza is a live dog. Give me a Karine Silva victory right here. Give me the decision.
Yeah, Derek, Ketlen Souza is a live dog. I'm still going Silva, though. I'm going Karine Silva. I'm actually going to go with that submission. I think it's going to be in a mix, in something where they get turned around, finds a submission out of nowhere. Like you were stating before, Souza has a tendency not to work off her back. So that way, presents openings for Silva. Hopefully she can find it. Give me Karine Silva round 3 submission.
All right. Interesting enough, man. It's possible. Last 10 fights, Souza has not been submitted. So there is that. Her 2 losses, 2 knockouts. 2 knockouts, man. So we'll leave that at that. This is a fun one, though, man. Y'all, listen, if you don't know, now you know, right? Dana White, I guess he trademarked that shit, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, bro. Listen, I'm excited, man. Abubakar Nurmagomedov is a man who I've been very hyped up on, but this dude just does not fight. Always pulling out of a fight, always something happening, but he's back. And they almost matched him up with the perfect guy in Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, because we have not seen Zaleski fight since 2021, and that was against Benoit Saint Denis, and he got a victory there, decision victory against now who has lived up to be, that aged very well, that Saint Denis fight, that aged very well. But I will say this, if you look at Nurmagomedov, it could be easy to say, well, let's lean Nurmagomedov because he's been more active. Dos Santos, he hasn't been around in a while. Nurmagomedov fought 1 time in 2022 and 1 time in 2021. He did not fight at all in 2020. Zaleski dos Santos fought twice in 2020, once in 2021. So is it fair to say, AJ, that this is basically, we're throwing the conversation of ring rust out of the window, given both of these guys are so inactive?
Oh yeah, Derek, we're throwing it right out, and especially because they've had so much time to grow as their own kind of fighters. You know, harden the steel that's already there, sharp, and then get the other kind of tools back to polish. Get them nice and ready to use. And that's why I kind of think, yeah, ring rust is going to be a thing for both of these guys. They're going to step in there. They're going to be feeling a kind of way. But it's whoever's able to get back to feeling comfortable, to get back to using those tools that we've been talking about, that development, that growth. If they're able to do that, whoever is on that night, that's going to be the better man. This is an interesting fight because I don't think we said in the previous fight, a lot of people don't know these guys. I think a lot of people don't know who these guys are except for the last name of Nurmagomedov. But check it out, folks, because this is a whole new style of fighter that's going to be bringing different kind of fights, man, different kind of striking, different looks, different things at him. And Zaleski dos Santos is the kind of fighter that's going to also be bringing the pressure, be bringing the pain, looking for his openings to get a finish. I mean, he only has, 3 finishes in his last 10, but still, this guy has some crazy spinning kicks, some crazy punches out of nowhere. If you're lacking just a little bit, which I do not expect Abubakar to be doing, Zaleski will put you out. Now, for the same thing on the other side, do you think Nurmagomedov has the striking chop, has the patience, has the skill set in order to see all those come and see the spin and shit and before it actually hits him?
Yes, I think that here's the thing, man. I think that Abubakar Nurmagomedov is an incredibly skilled fighter he underperforms on fight night sometimes, in my opinion, right? Just from what you hear, from what you hear about him, is this guy is a world beater. He was supposed to be the guy who was just as good as Khabib, all that stuff. But on fight night, sometimes you just don't see that. And I think that as a package, Nurmagomedov has good enough striking and grappling to be able to circumnavigate some of the very nasty explosion that comes from Zaleski. But the problem is, will he put it to good use? When you want him to wrestle, will he wrestle? Or will he sit there and just try to box with you? Because boxing with Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos in rounds 1 and 2 is a terrible idea, because he's not going to box with you. He's going to box your head off. He's going to throw, what's his nickname? Capoeira? Like, this dude throws all types of craziness. Spinning wheel kicks fucking Sean Strickland's head off and knocks him out, right? Like, we can't live off of past glories. We can't live off past glories, but there's one thing that I do know for sure when you watch Zaleski's tape, and is that he is the definition of explosion no matter where the fight goes. You take him down, all right, he's dropping elbows on your head. He's trying to get back up. He's not just chilling. Anywhere you go, he's going to be explosive, which is good and bad. The good is, rounds 1 and 2, he could be very dangerous. Round 3, all right, we got a problem on our hand. Can Abubakar Nurmagomedov pace out the fight to win a decision, even if he gets down early, because Zaleski just puts it on him in rounds 1, maybe half of round 2. Maybe it comes down to one of those 29-28s. I mean, how do you see it?
I actually see it exactly that way, Derek. I expect Abubakar to fight a very calm, patient, methodical kind of fight. Whether he listens to the side that's barking at him to take him down or not, I still expect him to fight a smart, intelligent, safe kind of style of fight, not allowing the explosiveness of Capoeira to actually come out and do any damage. Another one where we're going to see a lot of strikes thrown, maybe not the most different on strikes or differential, but they're going to be out there. They're going to be thrown, hitting wind, making things pass. And that's where I expect Abubakar to kind of find comfort and success, when he's able to see those moments in between and get out of the range and actually come back in. Now, whether it's actually an exciting fight or not, that's going to be seen. Typically, I should say, the wrestlers and the smash style only have exciting fights when they're the ones on top. And Zaleski dos Santos, if you're on top of him, this dude's gonna be throwing stuff that you're not seeing coming. Like you said, Derek, elbows at the top, sprawling, rolling, getting away from you and not being controlled. Will Abubakar be able to control him on the ground? We're going to see, man. I'm excited to also see that, but plus the striking, because Nurmagomedov has some very crisp striking, a little more technical than Zaleski dos Santos, but still has a lot of power that he can hit you with.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And I don't have much else to say on this matchup other than this is explosion, this is finesse, and this is that fighter. And to me, that's Zaleski versus a technical pace, slow style fighter. But what do we say? What is it? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That's what we want, right? Did I say it right, AJ? Did I get it?
You did, brother. You nailed it.
There we go. All right, folks. So with that being said, let's talk about the picks. This is a minus 110 open a pop. This was even money. AJ, we look at the odds right now. Abubakar Nurmagomedov is now the favorite. It's still basically a pick. A minus 115 Nurmagomedov, minus 105 for Zaleski, right? Which I think is fair play. I think that's fair. Either way, I like Zaleski right here. This is going to be another one of those. If this is a coin toss, give me the explosive guy who will rack up more damage, because damage is what wins fights. I think that whether he's on his back, whether he's standing up, he's going to be the guy you got to watch out for all 15 minutes. How do you see it? Well, give me a decision, but how do you see it?
I agree with you, Derek. The explosiveness of Zaleski does make things a little interesting. I'm actually expecting Abubakar to come out here and be calm, avoid everything, stay perfect for 15 minutes. Give me Nurmagomedov and give me the decision as well.
Oh, yeah, shoot, man. Perfect for 15 minutes. Those are a phrase that I do not like to hear. But you know what, man? When they pull it off, it looks beautiful. So with that being said, folks, that is your main card for UFC Vegas 74. If you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what we're doing. Drop a subscribe button. Check us out on our main page, YouTube. Check out the YouTube shorts and share the show with a friend. This is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. Criminally underrated and undiscovered. Folks, let the people know what's cracking. You know what time it is. AJ, I think that this is the most anticipated segment of the show thus far, because we're about to talk about turning today's unknowns into tomorrow's stars, or at least uncovering them. Diamond in the rough, right? A little polish here and there. So, with that being said, let's jump into some sleepers, baby. Let's get it.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
And this is where we give you guys our 60-second bar pitch on why you need to watch these fights, why you don't know about these people, but these are going to be the guys who everybody knows about. For an example, Karine Silva at one point ain't nobody, I mean, listen, I guess we're still calling it. Ain't but nobody know about her. Ketlen, Souza, right? They don't know about these people, but we're letting you know. You need to watch out. So before the UFC just throws it in your face and says, watch it, you heard it from here first. You dig what time it is. AJ, you got a fun sleeper on deck right here. John Castaneda versus, don't get me in trouble, don't make me pronounce this name. Go for it, brother. Take over. What you got here?
It is a fun fight, Derek. John Castaneda versus Muan Gafarov. Now, if I butchered that, blame the, who was it? It was LFA, because that's where I got it from, the announcers. Muan Gafarov. Either way, man, this dude is a finisher, man. Big power in his hands. Very, very talented. You can see it right there, overhand right. Spinning kicks. This dude presents a lot of different opportunities to win the fight. Very explosive. Now on the other side, Sexy Mexi. This dude is coming for the scrap all the time. Very much a Mexican style of fighter. Is going to bring the pace to you. Going to be winning. Now you can see Daniel Santos gave him a knockout, but it's because Castaneda is willing to put himself in those dangerous positions, man. These are two very, very fun fighters. You can see right there, folks, Derek's pointing it out. 70% is going for Gafarov, but 67% of people think he's going to get the knockout. I'm thinking a knockout either way from this one, man. That's why I chose this as a sleeper. We're going to see violence. We're going to see blood. I'm expecting a knockout round 2 from either guy, man. This one's going to be a blast.
And look at that. So why are 70% of people picking Gafarov, man? See, topology going to the oh, God. All right, let's move on, man. This is about to get dangerous over here. Yeah. All right, but no, that is a fun sleeper right here, man. John Castaneda clearly is down to fight anybody, because these are the guys you got to watch out for, man. I mean, listen, Gafarov, a couple years ago, he was fighting hands of stone, John Lineker. He lost, but I mean, brother, that's not no rookie coming into the UFC, bro. That is, you know what I'm saying? All right, bro. I got a fun sleeper on deck too, and my sleeper is going to be coming courtesy of the light heavyweight division. Maxime Grishin versus Felipe Lins. If you know anything about these guys, you know they bring the power, they bring the pain. Maxime Grishin in his last fight, he a decision to William Knight. Before that, his loss to Dustin Jacoby, it was a contested one. There was controversy in that, but the point stands. Felipe Lins got the TKO for Ovince St. Preux in his last fight. Both of these dudes are going to be coming through, looking to hurt each other. They're both old men, so that's how you know you're not fighting for a championship. You're fighting for one reason. It's either for money, for glory, or just because that's the only thing you know how to do. And when you get in these spots, those are the fights you want to watch. So clearly, you take a look right here. You see 60% in favor of Maxime Grishin, 40% in favor of Felipe Lins. All you need to know is that somebody is most likely going to get finished. Even though you see a big decision prop right here, 205 pounds, they tend to be historically slow starters, technical, pick at you a little bit. But AJ, we have to reference back to why this is the first fight of the night. And that's because we think that we're changing a new leaf right here, and we about to see some blood, violence, gore, guts, the whole nine. You heard it here first. That's your sleeper. And given, AJ, we are running out of time, I want to jump straight into a quick prelim preview, brother, and talk about a couple of these fights that people should also tune into. We gave you the sleepers. Those are the must-watch. We broke down the main card. We're there to win you some money. Now, when we're talking about prelims, really quickly, let's highlight a couple of these things right here. All right, man. We got Andre Arlovski versus Don'Tale Mayes. Don't know how it happened, but Andre Arlovski has now been relegated to just fighting every and anybody. It does not matter at this point. Who do you like in that one?
Oh, man. The old school, what's the word I'm looking for? Nostalgia in me wants to see Andre Arlovski come back, but Don'Tale Mayes is also very talented. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going Arlovski. I think he can get it done. He's still very, very strong and very sharp. Don'Tale Mayes, we've seen him underperform before. Who do you like?
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I was about to tell you, if you don't think Arlovski is going to get this one done, we need to make an incredible wager on that, because Arlovski, I think he's primed to win this fight. In what categories is Don'Tale Mayes going to dominate Andre Arlovski? I don't really see one. The only way is if he's able to take Arlovski down and hold him there. But who is able to do that? It takes real legitimate guys, the Tom Aspinalls of the world, things like that, to really put it on Arlovski like that. Nonetheless, all right, we got Jinyu Fry versus Elise Reed. That's going to be a fun matchup in the strawweight division. Jinyu Fry has taken on some wrestling tendencies as of late, so that should be fun. But right here, my man is back, Damon Blackshear. He hasn't had the greatest run in the UFC thus far, but he's fighting Luan Lacerda, and this is going to be a fun fight right here. Really quickly, AJ, I just wanted to pull this up, and I wanted to take one quick glance, right? We said, all right, you came into the UFC, you got a draw against Yusuf Zalal, and then you lost against one of the Basharat bros. Not a great start, but I did also say this guy is going to have a good run in the UFC. Do you still believe that to be true? Is this fight a make or break to determine whether he will have that good run in the UFC or not?
Now, I don't want to discredit Lacerda over here, Derek, but I think this is one of the ones that the brass knows that Damon, the monster Blackshear, is very, very dangerous. And they're not necessarily feeding Lacerda over to Blackshear, but it kind of feels like it, Derek, and I think there's a reason. I mean, and Tapology. We'll not reference the comment that we scrolled past before, but there's a reason that people think that Lacerda is going to win this one. Damon Blackshear is underrated. Yeah. Watch out for the power. Watch out for the speed. This one's going to be a fun fight as well, Derek.
Absolutely. And then to be completely frank with you guys, if you look at the rest of the card, this is a little bit of a sleeper card. You got Daniel Santos, Johnny Munoz Jr. AJ, was that your sleeper? No, that wasn't your sleeper.
No.
Castaneda. So you got the Santos versus Johnny Munoz Jr. That's going to be a fun fight. Jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu. You got to love that, right? Look at this, though, man. We're supposed to get Jack Hermanson versus Brendan Allen. Ludovic Klein was the original opponent for Jim Miller before Jared Gordon. I mean, Jamie Malarkey versus, oh, my God, Guram Kutataladze. Visa issues. The man can't catch a break. Oh, it breaks my heart. That's my guy. That's probably the number one guy I'm rooting for. Guram. Y'all just don't know. Anyways, all right, folks, with that being said, enough talking about this prelim pour-over, That is a show. It feels good to be back. That's all that I got to say. I know that you guys have missed your weekly installment to the Bloody Water Podcast. We've missed you guys, too. That's what we do this week in and week out for. But just know this. We're back with a vengeance. Head on over to YouTube. Obviously, you're watching this on YouTube right now, but head on over to, our YouTube channel. Click into our channel. Go onto the shorts. See what shorts that we got available for you guys. But this is the scoop. You want to know what's happening before it all goes down? We're predicting the future for you. Nostradamus. You dig what time it is. AJ, close us out, brother. What else you got?
We may not be Mystic Mac, but we've had some Mystic-ish predictions, folks. There's a reason we tune in. There's a reason we do this show week in and week out. It's because we love it, and that's one of the reasons why we will keep growing and keep getting better. I was watching a video by Uncle Chael the other day saying a lot of people, even analysts, reporters, all these people, they like the entertainment for the sport. But you know why we are your favorite fighter's favorite fight show? Because we're bred right here, brother, with them knuckles, with them knees. We are in the trenches with you guys. Derek's talking about it. It's like a family over here, and there's a reason we're winning you money every single week, in and out. Make sure you tune in. Like Derek said, hit the subscribe button. Also, go check me out, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. We're going to be winning y'all some money regardless. So whether we are right now criminally underrated and underknown, it's only for a little bit of time, folks. Make sure you jump on the Bloody Water Podcast Express. And yeah, I'm taking that one from the Blessed. But either way, man, it's going to be a lot of fun this fight week. I'm excited to watch it, excited to break it all down with you. When you come back for the post-show, Derek, let's see some fights, man. I'm happy to be back, brother.
Let's get it. Once again, it's good to be back. The waters haven't been bloody enough. Sorry about that. Folks, if you like a little bit of live action fight night tweets, holla at me on Twitter, twitter.com/D496 at D496_, right? Enough for the plugs. Y'all seen enough. Share the show with a friend. That's it for us. Until next time, folks. Peace.